World Blockchain Summit. I would like to start first by giving 1 or 2 minutes to each panelist to introduce themselves in the way that they prefer. We start with Dr. Ayesha.
Test. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Well, thank you for having me in this significant event. My name is Dr. Ayesha Binlootah. I'm Assistant Vice President at VARA. I look after licensing, supervision, digital assurance, AML inspections, and anything regulatory related. I'm happy to be here.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Marcello. Been involved in the space since 2017 when I was part of the funding team of SingularityNet, which is the project that basically invented the conversion between blockchain and artificial intelligence. And then in 2021, I founded SingularityDAO, which is the first project that combined artificial intelligence and decentralized finance. And I'm now into a new project that is called AI Dojo, which deals with the AI agents and the certification and auditing and evaluation of AI agents' performances.
Great, and I'm David Norris, CFO at Near Foundation. Been with the foundation for 3 years, helping further the growth of Near Protocol. We're very much running after AI as an agentic future. I think we'll be speaking about this a fair bit, we believe is coming. How we actually do cross-chain payments to make sure you join up agents with blockchain, and then a really scalable blockchain, super fast and cheap, which is table stakes now for L1s.
Well, thank you. I'm Ahmed Refaie. I think our amazing MC has introduced me very well, so I don't have to reintroduce myself again. But so far, I've been involved in the digital infrastructure of the regulatory framework of the UAE and specifically Dubai for the last 6 years across a lot of the governmental initiatives, accelerators, and programs. And I'm going to be proudly moderating the panel today with our esteemed speakers and you as well. Please feel free to come to us with any questions or any kind of introductions you would like after the panel. And let's start with ladies first. So our Dr. Ayesha, as we're talking about AI and the Web3, we are here in the summit, HODL summit. It's all about Web3, digital currencies, crypto. And as a regulator, as VARA, the Virtual Assets Regulatory Authority, how do you see the virtual assets and digital assets contributing to the Dubai's vision of AI and digital economy?
Actually, Dubai has been leading the way when it comes to the digital economy, and I proudly say that. And we've been working on this for so much, for a really long time. I know 3 years is a short period of time, but the amount of great impact that VARA has taken and has built into the ecosystem today is actually significant. So VARA is the only independent regulator that has been specializing in regulating virtual assets. You know, most of the other regulators basically regulate TradFi and virtual asset, but for us that gives us a lot of agility, I think, and we continue to understand what the industry wants, and we continue to basically adapt to the industry, and at the same time we continue to contribute to the Dubai's digital economy and the D33 economy. And by that, basically, the strategy is being very clear, and it's cross-sectorial strategy that aims to emphasize and double the GDP impact of Dubai by 2033. And we've been really proud to do so much in a very short period of time.
Mm-hmm. Great, that's really great. I think Dubai is one of the first, if not the first, state to come with a Web3 regulatory framework that even other prosperous countries and very progressive countries has been viewing to draft their own as well and learn from the way. So kudos to Dubai for taking the risk and taking the steps forward to show everybody how the road looks like ahead. You're not afraid to go where nobody else has stepped before you. So that's a leading indicator of how this country is heading. So I go to Marcello now. How do you see the Dubai AI ecosystem, and how can it foster the digital and the creator economy?
So, I mean, we have to realize that Dubai is a it's a relatively new economy and a new country, and it's definitely growing. So I've been in the UAE since 2021, and in 2021 when I moved here to start SingularityDAO, I launched it out of shared apartment in Marina. So I always say that the shared apartment in Marina is the UAE version of the Silicon Valley garage, where they started Google, and so the environment here is different and has been growing very quickly. In 2021, we had the feeling that everything was starting. We were the center of somewhat like a revolution in this region. 2020 was the DeFi summer. So a lot of movements. Bitcoin was on the rise again after 2 very long years of bear market, and COVID, of course, was plaguing the rest of the world, while Dubai was keeping like more an open-minded and open policy. So a lot of people started to come to Dubai, and there were events happening constantly, every day, every week. Major conferences like HODL Summit and Trescon started to organize the event in Dubai. So in the last 4 years, I've seen the environment really transforming. So while there was a lot of excitement at the beginning, but again, VARA didn't exist back then. We were talking about how to start, regulating digital assets, how to attract talents, how to create a community and ecosystem. In the last 4 years, I've seen this growing dramatically to the point that now Dubai is definitely one of the crypto capital of the world and tech capital of the world. When it comes to artificial intelligence, it's a little bit deeper. In order to sustain the growth of an AI ecosystem, you need talents. You need grassroots talents, and grassroots talents comes from universities. Dubai has done a great job trying to attract talents from all over the world. Maybe not that many companies are currently, or startups are based in Dubai, but literally everyone is either here in Dubai or is passing by Dubai at some point in the year. So I've seen the government doing major efforts to support the growth of the AI community, also by launching a number of AI initiatives and AI events supported by the Dubai Blockchain and AI Center and Dr. Marwan, the AI Dubai Week. And we've seen major companies trying to take the lead. And I'm thinking about G42, for example. So when we talk about Dubai, we need to consider the trajectory of growth of Dubai, and this has been exponential, and I feel this is the right place to be right now. This is the perfect business center and can really become one of the leading tech centers in the world.
Yeah, I totally agree, and that's why you're here. You're doing your second round of growth and startup with AI Dojo after SingularityDAO in Dubai.
Yeah.
And we have as well Nir here with us in Dubai, and I would like to extend the question to you as well. Why are you in Dubai as Nir Foundation or Nir Protocol? What brings you here? What do you see in the ecosystem that would make you favor or be more gravitated towards Dubai?
Sure. So I'm very fortunate that I've been living in London for 40 years. Fantastic city. Really enjoyed every part of London. But I always explain London as having this special kind of crackle feel about it. That you walked into the city and it felt electric. When I came round here last year, you could feel exactly that crackle. And as London feels like it's dimming a little bit right now, that just fire that you could feel that was coming through of pure growth, the talent that was flowing in, the fact if you wanted to get anything done, you had to fly from London to Dubai to be able to meet the decision makers, to be able to get business closed. There's something absolutely magical that's happening here right now. That's the reason why I've brought my family over. I really enjoyed the last 4 months. I'm brand new into Dubai, of being able to get into the community and really see how progressive people really are. I sometimes forget just how early we are, both in blockchain and AI. You get trapped in a bubble, but actually coming here, you get to see that people really are building frontier tech. people really do want to change the world, and there's an environment here that allows that to actually happen.
Yeah, I think you're right. One of the factors of Dubai is beyond being cosmopolitan. Like when any of the prosperous cities in the world, they have 15 to 20 or 25% of the population expats, they say we are a cosmopolitan city or country. And here at any given point in time during the year, you have between 80 to 92% at any time of the year expats. You rarely meet locals. We sometimes wonder where they are. You know, so that's beyond cosmopolitan. You really meet. I met people from Alaska. Can you imagine that? You don't meet them in the U.S. I met them in Dubai. So, and everybody's coming with this spirit about, you know, it's the good thing about Dubai that gives you this spirit. It's a resort life mixed with the corporate and the financial lifestyle. One side of the road, like, you feel like in Miami on Santa Monica, and the other side you're just in Vegas, or in New York, and the other side you are in Wall Street, you know, like, and it's all just down the road from each other, you know. So, and this keeps the adrenaline pumps going on and excitement and all this kind of thing. I shift now the conversation a little bit and back to Dr. Ayesha. How does VARA maintain the balance of the environment of the AI and the digital economy when it comes to the players and the stakeholders, such as the innovators, the platforms, and the digital creators?
Very interesting question. So actually, a lot of people confuse and think that regulators regulate technology, but the way how we've done it in VARA, we are technology agnostic. We don't regulate the technology, we regulate the activity. So we are very activity specific. And that gives us a lot of agility when it comes to regulating those activities. And the way how we've done it, so the creators, the DAOs, the tokenized assets, everything will sit into basically the regulatory regime because we're activity specific, right? So part of our technology and information rulebook, we've set very clear guidelines that are mandatory for all the virtual asset service providers to follow. And that includes basically cybersecurity, digital infrastructure requirement, IT disaster recovery, on-chain transaction and tracing requirements. There are a lot of other cybersecurity requirements such as access management, incident management, and very specifically as well, cryptographic controls. We're also updating our rule books. And it's going to be launched hopefully this week or by maximum next week. We're including very specific custody security requirements, as we've seen a lot of need for that at the moment. So secure custody requirements has been one of the hot topic requirements, as we've seen the trends in the market. So I think the way how we've done it is really enables the creators and enables the users as well. So that's how we basically manage the balance when it comes to creating a balanced environment.
Okay, thank you so much for this clarification. I see that Dubai regulators, not just in VARA, they keep always updating their rule books and their regulations and trying to make it easier and more frictionless. And this will lead me to a next question, but after I take the opinions of our esteemed speakers. Marcello, how do you see the balance in the ecosystem here in Dubai and the region when it comes to the players and the stakeholders of the digital economy and the creator economy?
Well, there's definitely a lot of digital creators in this country, right?
In terms of platforms, as you are like tackling the topic from a tech dev perspective, or technology developer or provider, how do you see the ecosystem being? How can we balance it more? How we can have this kind of homogeneous integration of all the players and the stakeholders?
Okay, you mean between technology and...
Between the platforms, between the creators and the users, and between startups and the innovation in general.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think technology is, and especially artificial intelligence, is a great enabler for and supporter for content creators, right? I mean, it's become increasingly easy to create content online and to support the creation of content, and even more, I think that the new generations of content creators are going to be AIs directly. And so that balance that you're mentioning between the different stakeholders would be even more fragmented. We're going to have traditional content creators. We're going to have content creators that use artificial intelligence. We're going to have artificial intelligence content creators, and I think this can become extremely interesting. We've seen the rise of many platforms that I can mention later, but I always say that AI and especially AI agents are the workforce of the future, and content creators are definitely part of this workforce. So there will be more and more agent or non-human content creators in the future.
Right.
Did that answer the question roughly?
Well, you answered it from a generic helicopter view, but I think it describes how you view the tech sphere integrating together or working together in an understandable, easy and crisp language. So not so much technicalities. We can go through this privately, or my neighbor anyway. So to David, I will tweak the question a little bit to be more oriented towards what you do, as you're here as the CFO of Near Foundation. So what is Near Foundation doing, and how does it serve the Near protocol, and how do you see your ecosystem or Near integrating into the environment of AI, Web3 and digital economy?
Sure. So the Near Foundation's role is to further the development of the ecosystem. But if we see ourselves as something separate from the ecosystem, then we're doing something wrong. So really our goal is to partner really closely with those people who are builders, who are creators, the financial stack that comes through the whole of crypto, banking environment around the world, to make sure we do have a sustainable future as a foundation. We're able to keep enough money in the bank to be able to keep on developing. We're able to work on global strategies to make sure the projects that come through can become profitable in their own rights. Plus, we also are consistently developing or working with teams to consistently develop and improve the protocol. As I was saying before, we've got 3 layers of our stack. What we're really trying to do, if I was to bring it back, is to say we really believe that we will have an agentic future. There is no doubt in my mind that AI agents will be there to support our lives, and we're at a critical juncture, which is whether or not those AI agents are there to support us or whether they're there to extract from us. And so what we're really trying to do is to create an AI ecosystem where we do a bit of building ourselves as an ecosystem, but where we really align with the biggest players, the best founders who really believe in this mission of user-owned AI. Now, we've put a fair amount of money in at the moment to build what will be a front end. There's going to be a world, in my view, I'd love to speak with Marcello about this later as well, where apps as we know them today, closed journeys will disappear. Data can be stored securely through trust execution environments, and agents will be able to act on our behalf. And that's actually a pretty scary future, but a really exciting one. So we've set up an AI alliance where we're working with partners to be able to really ideate what that future can look like and how we have trust at the heart of it. We know if AI agents are working on our behalf, the big difference between just an AI future, where if you were to take OpenAI, where you go to ChatGPT and it's a question and answer, but actually blockchain does this wonderful thing of being able to have your verification, your provenance of data, being able to join that up with payments. And that's really the second layer of our stack is we should not care if a user wants to use Near protocol. They could be using any chain. Money is money, whether they're using fiat, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Near, whatever. They should be able to pay on their own rights. And this is where we're joining the AI agents with the financial stack, cross-chain, fiat, and crypto. And then the final layer that we're really supporting is around the blockchain itself. We had a big announcement yesterday, which is amazing news, that we went down to 600 millisecond transactions, 10 times faster than Solana, 1.2 second finality. So effectively, the whole payment can just be done in a blink of an eye. As I said earlier, that's kind of table stakes, but it's going to keep on getting faster and faster. And where we get high frequency trading in traditional markets, that's going to be even easier through crypto in the future. So it's an exciting future ahead, and foundation will continue to help develop that.
That's really very impressive and sounds remarkable. I can't wait to see it like in action myself.
Well, one thing I will add to it is it's not just near. This only works if the whole industry comes together to be able to work on this together. Closed journeys are never
So the
good.
foundation is trying to integrate the other players within the ecosystem for the benefit of the users. So rather than competing, it will be like sharing the pie with everyone.
And we're all open source, so how do we support other people to be able to keep on innovating on top of each other?
And if I may, I mean, NEAR has been definitely one of the key driver of the integration between artificial intelligence and blockchain since many, many years. And right now they're at the forefront of the innovation when it comes to agentic AI. And back to what David was saying, I strongly believe in the future agents will transact. I mean, they're already transacting value, but there will be more and more value transactions between agents. And if we are waiting for agents to have a bank account, I think we're going to see a couple of generations. This is not going to happen. I don't think it will ever happen even in many generations. So the only way they can actually transact value is through the blockchain. And we need blockchain that can support this agent-to-agent transaction and agent-to-agent verification, communication. But then the big topic, also back to what David was saying, is the provenance. So the one that we call KYA, know your agent, right? I mean, you give access to an agent to your wallet to transact value, but how do we verify the identity of that agent? And that's why we need protocols that allow identity verification for agents. This is a huge topic discussed in the agentic AI community in blockchain. Because if you go to AI conferences, these topics are massively overlooked. So sometimes I see more innovation coming from AI project in blockchain rather than pure Web 2 AI project, which is very interesting. If you go to an AI conference, you will never see a blockchain panel, or very rarely will see a blockchain panel. If you go to a blockchain conference, you see loads of AI panels. So I think this space is becoming increasingly interesting. Thanks to the work of major players like NEAR, like the ASI, SingularityNet, Fetch, and so on. So, yeah, I mean, it's probably growing at a slower pace than we imagined in the beginning, but there's some really, really interesting innovation coming.
Okay. So back to the head of the panel, the regulator. And as a regulator, how do you see AI and blockchain and Web3 technology and decentralization integrating together? And as a regulator, what are the challenges that you're seeing that might be facing the creators and the builders? And how do you ensure that you do not become so rigid like other jurisdictions that drove everybody to come here? So how do you avoid becoming what they escaped?
Actually, so the way how we look at it, and then I would emphasize on this, and it's very important for everyone to understand that. We look at it very equally when it comes to the creators and the users, and we want to protect both. And the reason why I want to protect both is like, you want to protect the investors, the creators, you want to protect also the consumers, on the other side, the users. And the way how we do that is we basically have mandatory disclosures. Any marketing requirements, anything has to go as per our regulatory regime when it comes to marketing disclosures, market conduct. Obviously, in terms of data security, we've already touched based on that as well. When it comes to, I think, the challenges, and before that, I want to highlight the opportunities. And there are significant opportunities when it comes to the use of AI agents and basically other Web3 projects. So especially with this, and I think way back I was researching this like in 2018 and working on a separate project. And we used to think that it's going to happen, but we didn't know when it's going to happen. So the basically a lot of tokenization is happening. You can see access democracy. You can see ownership democracy. And what do we mean by that? It's like you have fractional ownership today. And this is actually giving a lot of democracy for the users, for the investors. And where do you see that? Today with tokenization, you're actually enabling micro investors. People who could not invest in buying a property previously in Dubai are able now to invest from all over the world with a very small minimal amount of a ticket. So allowing those micro investors, allowing basically the fractional ownership and tokenization is really important, not only from a regulatory regime, but for also to have a balanced economy, have basically financial stability as well for the economy. But when it comes to challenges, obviously there are plenty as well, right, at the same time. So I can see from a challenges perspective that I would say, obviously security is one of the challenges, but if you have robust security regime, that should basically tackle it. But on the other hand, you have basically the regulatory parameter, right? So answering your question and how are we going to be rigid or not? We take a lot of time when we study those projects. And why do we do that? Because we want to make sure that we don't over-regulate that, and want to make sure at the same time we don't under-regulate it as well at the same time. And what do I mean by that? So for example, let's say it's an NFT, right? But is that NFT going to be used as a financial instrument? Is that project going to be used for basically investment, right? So there is a very thin line between having a technology project that does not require regulation and between a project that has a financial investment exposure that requires to be regulated to protect the investors and the consumers as well. So regulatory parameter understanding is really crucial, and it always is a challenge. And then I talked about the security aspect, and I think another challenge will be the fragmentation of the jurisdiction. And what do I mean by that? Is that you mint the token somewhere, you distribute it somewhere else, and then you transact it somewhere third, right? So the ability to trace that and to know what kind of basically regime will be applied at each stage is really important. And sometimes it might fall under fragmentational jurisdictions. But I think with having regulatory clarity and transparency, we should be able to overcome that.
That's really more of a holistic view that I really thank you for that. And coming back to your point about fractionalized ownership and investment, I've been doing this almost with some platforms here in Dubai, different ones since 5 years. And I know that they have been in the market for around 9 or 10 years when it comes even to real estate. So it has been there already from the Web 2 perspective. Yeah. And now they are trying to come into the Web 3, and there are new emerging players who are trying to come more. And I think that Dubai has been successful in really having this fractionalized ownership and investment working in a way that I'm really impressed how good it worked, because other big boys that we used to call them the big deals have been talking about it for 20 years and we haven't seen anything going anywhere, while Dubai just managed to pull it off. And what I like about Dubai more is that they talk more about what they have done, not what they are going to do.
Yeah.
So I like this kind of stuff, and it's kind of our marketing strategy as well in our tech initiative, that we market everything backwards. We market about what we have done last year, not what we're going to do this year. We always say you're going to read about it in the news when it's already done. And I think that this is the quintessential part of really pulling success and getting everybody to talk about it. Of course, you're going to have haters, but it's okay that haters are going to hate as long as lovers are going to love, you know? So...
Actually, no, if you don't have haters, that means that you're not doing something right.
Exactly.
Like the more you are successful, the more you will have haters.
But let's not
trust me.
Yeah, I know. So coming to the same question and building on what Dr. Ayesha has described and illustrated in terms of integrating the stakeholders of the community, which are the citizens or the residents and the expats or the community, the human beings. It's all about humans in the end. It's all about us, right? As the song says. So integrating the stakeholders of the community makes them become more involved, not just a stakeholder by an Emirates ID or a passport or stuff. No, you have a skin in the game. You're now involved either qualitatively or quantitatively, either with your money there or with your social benefit that's coming to you out of this ecosystem when you integrate everything to work together in this seamless way. How do you see this regulation, Marcello, from a technological point of view? What are the challenges that you are afraid to see? What do you wish Dubai not to fall in?
Interesting. Well, definitely over-regulation. It's a risk, but Ayesha already said that. I mean, they're tackling and they're not willing, they're not interested in over-regulating. I think Dubai has one of the first real use case in the public sector for blockchain. I'm not sure if it's DIWA or some other companies that actually use blockchain as a decentralized ledger to record data. And the integration is that I think mostly, outside of the crypto world, people are not extremely concerned about blockchain, so they don't really need to see like that integration that you're talking about between the different stakeholders. I mean, there are different levels, but like we're talking about a technology that can, increase transparency, save money, efficiency. So the regular citizen doesn't really care whether this happened on a decentralized ledger or not.
Exactly,
they just care about the result.
It's overhyped.
So the integration needs to happen and it's happening at a seamless level. So, and I think Dubai is doing a great job in being a first mover and a first adopter of blockchain in the public sector. So that integration is definitely happening. What I don't want to see is, over-regulation from a regulation perspective and also friction from a user's perspective, right? So I don't think citizens will ever have to buy tokens and stake tokens in order to access a service. I mean, this is something that only us are concerned, right? It could become eventually, if for those that want to access specific financial instrument in the decentralized world, yes, that's fine, absolutely. For those that want to access fractionalized investment opportunities, yeah, sure, absolutely. But it needs to be on a seamless way. I mean, we've been talking about removing entry barriers, the user experience, barrier to mass adoption for so long, for the past 7 years of my life. And now finally we seem to understand that crypto and blockchain are two different things, and such things need to remain. We can still, these events, play around with crypto, talk about crypto, that's fine, but most of the world is not really concerned about crypto.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And for you, David, how do you see the regulatory framework evolving, and what would be your best case scenario in a regulatory environment?
In a regulatory environment where there's real partnership.
Mm-hmm.
And what do I mean by that? VARA is a great example, actively working with teams to be able to shape that future. What I've seen in other jurisdictions is that there is no desire to ever run any proof of concepts.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
It is just a technology that sits in the corner and needs to be stopped. Now, working closely with the regulator to actually understand what the future can look like, being really futuristic, 50 years ahead of what is the world that we want to build, and being able to actually adopt some of the technology that's being built within all levels of society at a very small level to start with, mm-hmm. actually goes to show how users behave, how people are at risk, how people can be protected, and the regulator really working hand in glove with those companies that are building the future. I still find it fascinating, just touching on a couple of the previous comments there, is 90% of my friends think I work in a crazy industry and it's all built around hype and not built around technology. But when you actually show them what is possible, and they don't know it's blockchain, they don't know it's AI, they love it. Now, this really kind of speaks to me around the message that's out around the industries as well. There's been a lot of attempts to be able to bring the industry down over time, and crypto blockchain has survived. and is thriving, and it continues to grow. And from a user perspective, not knowing what technology is in it, but knowing that they are protected by regulators, that just creates comfort. And really, everything comes back to one single word, which is trust. Can a user trust what they're doing? And can they trust the regulator to be looking after their best interests? And can they trust the companies that are building the technology to also be building in that right direction for their interests?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And you kind of like fast forwarded to the last question that I'm going to do it after this one to
I could see your notes.
All of to all of you. And yeah, I think that the job of the regulator is to regulate, not to control. Because once you start to control, you start getting the haters, and you start getting the resistance, and you start getting the friction. As the friction increases, you get fire, and then nobody's happy. And then it ends up like a fight, and everyone gets rigid and stuck and stubborn and hard-minded on their own perspective, and then it's who wins. It's not about what's right and what's wrong and what's useful and what's harmful. It's about me or you. And this is where people start escaping this territory and going to a better, more relaxed, safer, vibrant, hassle-free, frictionless place. So to go back to Dr. Ayesha as a regulator, how do you see the VARA putting efforts when you spoke about fragmentation and jurisdictional division or differences and fragmentation? How do you see your efforts in, for example, when it comes to KYC and travel rule? If you can tell us how VARA see the KYC and travel rules in the digital and assets and the digital economy.
You know, travel rule is one of the most hot topics for VASP. Any panel you would go for virtual asset service provider, everyone will talk about it.
Everybody's talking about VASP
Yeah,
now,
I know. So I'm just saying, for example, right? So this will be like one of the most hot topics. People will talk about the travel rule. So when it comes to travel rule, basically VARA believes that this is one of the utmost priority for VARA. So that's one. And basically compliance with the travel rule requirements is non-negotiable. And what I mean by that, VARA is one of the first regulators who set a minimum guidelines from a standard perspective to comply with the travel rule requirement for any transactions basically above AED 3,500, which is equivalent to $1,000. So
$100,000.
Yeah, so in addition to that, so what we've done is basically we also worked very closely with the federal regulators as well to establish and issue guidelines when it comes to travel rule, and that should be issued soon. So we've been like on top of that to make sure that the standards are basically consistent across the board. We have like 5 regulators today for virtual asset in the country today, and we want to make sure that it's all consistent. There is no room for regulatory arbitrage. So that's on the way. Another thing is that we basically are going to do a thematic review on our industry in September. So crossing fingers, hopefully you guys will be ready by that time. But what I believe that's really important, I've seen that, basically public-private partnerships when it comes to travel rule and building solutions that will be basically interoperable. Like they have to be compatible. Well, there's no way. If they're not compatible, you'll not be able to share the data as well, right? So I believe there is a lot of room for public partnerships, public-private partnership there. So, and when it comes to KYC, to be honest, it's also like it's like zero threshold. Like it's part of the AML regime in the government and the federal requirement, the local requirement as well. But what I see in the future, I see that there will be instant KYC solutions that can basically KYC a person within milliseconds in the future. So that's what I think the future holds for us, and I believe that we are going towards that.
In terms of the cross-border integration with other jurisdictions, regulators, and the collaboration as well with other regulators within the same jurisdiction. Like, for example, VARA is entitled or focused on digital assets. And I think that digital assets or digital economy doesn't only have to include only Web3. It can have the Web2 as well. And blockchain doesn't necessarily means Web3 or decentralization, because there is a lot of blockchain systems and decentralized ledger technologies that are built on blockchain. It can be permissioned, it can be centralized or semi-centralized, and it doesn't have to be a blockchain at all to be decentralized. You can build it up with IPFS, for example. But this is a technical issue. But still, you can still have the features of a centralized ledger or database, because blockchain is nothing but a fancy name for a database. An Excel sheet is a database, right? So it's a ledger, as we see, DLT. In the end, it's a ledger. So we need to ask ourselves, what are we implementing this ledger for, rather than emphasizing on just the sophisticated name and trying to commercialize and coin terminologies that abuse the market and created what you have just been saying, that the end user doesn't really care and they don't understand and they get confused, and they have in their life already, in everyday life, what's confusing them on social level and emotional level and work level, financial level, family level. They are not in a way, or they are not missing more confusing things to confuse them. Everybody have their mental issues, like it's raining everywhere, so we need to make it easier for them, as you said. Like once you show them how it works, they start like, that's easy. They get this aha moment, and they're like, if somebody told us this way, we could have got it from the beginning. There is a proverb that says, show me and I may remember. Tell me and I'll forget. Involve me and I'll understand. So once you get involved, which I see that VARA is trying to do with other regulators in order to bring all the stakeholders down from the street level to see what is this and how it works and how it can benefit them. And even if it's not benefiting you, but at least if you understand it, the word of mouth can do its magic, So,
See, at the end of the day, the objective is you want to have global passportability, right? But to achieve that, you have to basically go through a lot of steps, setting guidelines, working with other regulators, working with local regulators first, before even jumping to working with international regulators. So that's what we've been working on. And then you want to encourage public-private partnerships. So we are on the right track, we're on the right journey. And I believe by sometime we should be able to achieve what we want when it comes to global passporting.
I think so. I really believe so. And I would love to see so. I think everybody here agrees with me that we would love to see better environment, frictionless, collaborative. Everybody wants to keep what we have here and even have it even more better. So, to Marcello, how do you see the future of this AI and the integration with Web3?
Wow, how long do I have? No, I'm very bullish. As I said, I think agentic AI is the future and potentially our best shot at creating AGI, which is to me the next step of human evolution. I think AGI needs to happen in the decentralized way, and we've been working on this as a community, as an industry, for at least 8 years. So I think in many ways AIs will replace human labor, and especially agents will replace human labor, and I think blockchain can play a great role in, as I said earlier, like identification, creating identity, transacting values, creating decentralized governance models, hosting models itself, the training, the data. And I think the use cases are infinite. I see a future where every enterprise will become an agent. Most of tech companies will become an agent. We will have our own agent. Our fridge will be an agent, and all of these agents will communicate with each other in a seamless way, and these communications will happen through the blockchain.
Great. And from the near's perspective, how do you see the near future of AI and Web3?
Well, I'm going to have to go out a bit broader, because I think the future actually does come very much, in my view, to what you've been describing. I'm actually very pleased that I'm closer to retirement than I am to graduation. because coming through a finance route, for me, any knowledge-based work, I think, does become at risk in the future.
Yeah.
Now, what we're having at NEAR is quite a few existential questions around if we do end up in this world where AI actually takes away majority of knowledge work, then how do people get purpose and how do people become well looked after in a world where they're not doing the same jobs that they are doing today? You really start thinking about the jobs that are protected in a sense from AI, and that's very much around entertainment and hospitality and healthcare, anything where you really need a human to
factor,
be able to create some form of service, taking things out of the ground, and then turning them into products, then after that point, just goes through the supply chains. So it'll be really interesting to see how fast that evolves. I'm already seeing through my TradFi routes, my contacts, that a lot of their workflows are being upgraded with AI right now, and that's hugely supportive. The next 5 years, from my sense, is those people who are able to adopt AI and utilize AI to support their work will be the ones that really step forward. But then we'll have the second wave, which is really around where AI starts to dominate most of that knowledge work. So I've been positioning myself within NEAR and what I do to be able to be ready for that future. What we're doing with NEAR, we really believe, as I was saying, around the purpose point, we need to be able to create systems and environments and communities where AI is actually really supportive for you as an individual. And how do you think about your mental wellness and how do you find a way to get pure purpose? It's a huge question that for me hasn't been answered across this AI future. I hope that with the think tank that we've got together and working across the industry, we can actually solve some of those challenges, because it is coming and it is coming quickly. But it's an exciting future if we get it right.
Totally agree with you, and this point is really like touching on a very sensitive nerve. Is when we talk about AI, I think, and I do strongly believe that we need to preserve and protect the human factor. It's not about how AI is amazing and wonderful. Don't get fooled and lured by how it does magic in front of your eyes and how it looks so glamorous and this enigmatic, I describe it as most of it is like fireworks. You see it as wow factor, but once it ends and it's shortly lived, it just turns into ashes. And then you ask yourself, is this the place and the destination that I really wanted to be at from the beginning? Because as you said, we cannot miss the human factor in some stuff, that we still need the humans there. Nobody wants his friend or father or lover to be a robot, no matter how amazing it is.
Some people do.
What's really interesting is you said the word I think, and I think is the piece that we need to protect, the human ability to be able to think and innovate and not become dependent on AI.
I think we should not just buy into cheap dopamine.
Right.
It's more difference between something that can please you just on the spot, or will it really make you more comfortable and brings you happiness down the road? So I think I will end on this human note. I don't claim to be the best person in the world, but good news, at least I'm not the worst. And thank you everyone for your time.